Jury selection begins on Thursday in Dominion Voting Systems' $1.6 billion defamation lawsuit against Fox News. Will Fox settle before it goes to trial on April 17? And either way, will their viewers ever hear anything about the emails and texts revealed by those in charge that the network didn't believe what it was actually airing? Dominion is accusing the network of knowingly and repeatedly airing falsehoods about its voting machines rigging the 2020 election in favor of Joe Biden. Among those who are set to take the stand, the network's most prominent hosts like Sean Hannity and Tucker Carlson, and high-ranking executives, including 92-year-old Chairman Rupert Murdoch himself. Joining me now is Lee Levine. He's a veteran First Amendment lawyer who in his long career represented both Fox and CNN. He's argued before the Supreme Court. CNN still uses his former firm, and he once represented me years ago. Lee, nice to see you again. Actual malice, that's an awfully high bar. Knowledge of falsity or reckless disregard for the truth. But this case seems to be capable of meeting it. You agree?
Absolutely. I said this from the very beginning. Stronger case of actual malice than this one against the media entity.
A lot of the deposition testimony, the texts and the emails, the behind the scenes has come to light in media coverage of the pleadings. Can that be imputed to the company at large? Can the company be held accountable for what Tucker Carlson may have said to a colleague?
Well, you know, that's the very interesting thing, Michael, about the judge's decision last week allowing the case to go to trial. The judge basically said that that's an issue for the jury, which means that Dominion can put into evidence all of that stuff about all of those people, and it will be up to the jury to decide whether or not any of it is relevant to Fox as an entity's state of mind with respect to knowledge of falsity or reckless disregard of the truth. You know this as well as I do. That is a tremendous boon for Dominion.
Can the defendant in this case, Fox News, wrap themselves in opinion? Can they say, well, this was an item of news interest and we were putting someone on air to express their opinion. We didn't necessarily buy into it.
They cannot. The judge took that argument by Fox off the table in his decision that was released last week. So the jury is going to be instructed that Fox broadcast false statements of fact about Dominion that were defamatory. The only issue in this regard before the jury is whether or not Fox published it with knowledge of falsity or reckless disregard of the truth, and who at Fox, whose state of mind with respect to truth or falsity is relevant. Those are really the only issues other than damages that the jury is going to be asked to decide.
If you were defending the case, what would you be leading with?
That's really tough. I think that I would be leading with trying to blow holes in the connecting dots between the various people who said things about Sidney Powell being nuts or Rudy Giuliani being crazy or not believing the truth, and what the line producers and the hosts knew at the time. But given the evidence that's in the case, it's going to be hard to blow holes in that line. So if I were a defense lawyer handling this case, I would be really worrying about what I could do by way of defense.
It sounds to me like you'd be laying out the pluses and minuses, but perhaps recommending that they settle.
Yeah, I would. If I were asked for a recommendation, I would recommend settlement. I'm surprised that the case has not settled so far. I'm surprised it didn't settle before Fox had to produce all of these emails and texts that have now become public. I'm surprised they didn't settle after the briefing when all of this was laid out to the public. My only thought now is that they're waiting for jury selection to see what kind of jury they draw and whether they feel comfortable that there are at least a person or two on that jury who might not be interested in ruling against Fox. That's the only thing I can think of.
That process scheduled to begin on Thursday. Lee Levine, thank you so much. Nice to see you.
Good to see you too, Michael. Take care.
Checking in on social media reaction. What do we have? Fox should be required by the jury to admit to their viewers how Fox deceived them. This requirement should preface the beginning of every TV segment that airs on Fox hour by hour. Citizen Jen, you raise a very interesting question, which is, if a tree falls in the forest, is the Fox viewer even going to know about this? The case has gotten extensive publication in the media, but it doesn't get discussed at all on Fox News. Even if the case is to resolve with a big check being written, which I anticipate, will their viewers be any the wiser? And by the way, in some far-right media quarters, they've not even taken the lesson from the judge who used all caps in explaining that there is absolutely no basis for any of that which was said about Dominion. In other words, people are not learning the lesson, at least yet, from what has come out in this case.